Welcome to the Couples Academy. Did I just say that? It's an extension of the Couples Academy show. It's the Ask the Expert show. Glad to have each and every one of you on here tonight. We're going to have a great time. We're going to answer your questions. So whatever your question may be, if you're single, if you're dating, if you're in a committed courtship, engaged or married, we want to be able to speak to you and give you exactly what you need. Listen, you know what the rules are. Dive in deep. Just throw that question in there and we'll take the time to unpack it. You know, it's interesting. There was a question that came this morning about, and I believe it was from a good place. We were sharing the pain of the betrayed spouse and the things that they go through. And the question was mentioned, well, can you tell us how to overcome it? Can you tell us what to do about it? Like, we know what the pain is. What do we do about the pain? You know, what I would encourage you to do is just continue to tune in, because there's so many techniques and strategies and tips and all types of information, aha moments that you get as you continue to tune in. We go deep into people's situations and guide them through a strategy that can be helpful. And when a soundbite answer isn't enough, that's when we, provide the opportunity to do some one-on-one counseling, coaching, training to help navigate people through a lot of their struggles, because a lot of people are struggling in a major way because of crisis that has happened in the relationship. And so, listen, guys, this is all about you. If you have a question, post it. If you don't, then we can wrap this thing up. But before we continue, just a couple quick announcements. Last Chance Weekend, as you know, February the 11th through the 13th. We're excited about that. It's Valentine's Day weekend. It's going to be a phenomenal time. It starts next weekend, so it's not too late to sign up. Also, we made the announcement earlier, but we are starting round 2 of the Foundry program. We are now in week 4 of the existing Foundry program, but we're starting a new group February the 23rd. It's a 12-week program for men, teaching them how to become the man that God created them to be. So if you are a man listening, listen, this is for you. If you are a woman listening and you are dealing with, in a relationship with, or married to a man, let me tell you something. This is the group. This is the experience that you want him to go through so that he can show up in an amazing way. And then the next thing, overcoming emotional triggers. We're excited about this. February the 19th, 2022. It will be from 3 o'clock to 7 p.m. It's only $197 for this masterclass. It is a 4-hour masterclass. Now, if any of you are familiar with what we do when we work with couples, a couple session for just an hour is $250. However, this is a 4-hour masterclass for $197, where we will take you not just through information, but we will take you through a journey. There will be experiences. There will be a journey that we guide you through, where we're actually having you embrace and do techniques in real time to help begin to manage and overcome those emotional triggers. So if you are still struggling with trust, if you're still dealing with feelings and emotions and thoughts that you can't get a hold of, this is what you want to do. Someone asked, is it in person or is it online? It is online. So when you sign up, you will get a Zoom link, and people will be joining us virtually from all over the world. So we're excited about that. All right, guys, do you have any questions? I see one here. Brittany asks, how do you know when your spouse truly wants a divorce? That's a very good question. There are some people who operate in a very direct way, and then there are others who are very indirect, right? Some who are aggressive, some who are passive aggressive. So if he or she is not verbally saying, I want a divorce, maybe there are actions that he or she is demonstrating that give an indication that they want it to be over. Interestingly enough, there are some people who want to share a narrative that would suggest, she left me. Yeah, he filed papers and he filed for divorce. It wasn't me, it was him. So they may do certain things to force your hand because they ultimately want the divorce, but they're not willing to do it. Does that make sense? So they want to put that responsibility on you. And so that could be one of the options. Then there are others who constantly threaten divorce. Every other day, there's a threat to leave. Maybe we should separate. I don't know if this is going to work out. They're constantly threatening and articulating things that would create fear, doubt, skepticism, and anxiety in you that they want to leave, but yet they don't go anywhere. So it's confusing because they're saying one thing and they're doing another, and so you're just not sure what they ultimately want. And so here's the challenge. If you read people's behavior, it can give the impression that they want out, that they want a divorce. But overwhelmingly, let me tell you something, most people who even say they do, oftentimes really don't, because it's not that easy. There's a phenomenal book written by Dr. Willard Harley, and in his book on marriage, he's written many marriage books, he compares renters to owners. He says there's a major difference between renting and owning, right? If you rent an apartment or a house, if you decide that you just don't want to live there anymore, you can just get up, pack your bags, and leave. Okay, great. What, there's a clause that says I need to fulfill it for a year, I need to stay in that lease. Okay, I don't mind paying the early bird termination fee. Charge me that fee, I'm out, right? Easy. But if you own, it's a little bit more challenging and a little bit more complicated. There's a lot more you have to go through. It's based upon the timeliness of the market and, is your house up to par? It's all about the marketing and is the word out and do you have proper representation and are you having open houses? There's a lot more that goes through actually selling your home, right? Now, make that comparison to those who are just in a non-married relationship versus those who are in a married relationship. There's a major difference between breaking up and divorcing, right? So when people say they want a divorce, when people feel they want a divorce, when people are moving in the direction of a divorce, I say this all the time, it's not over till it's over. I know people who have actually filed papers because they did it out of a space of desperation, not what they really wanted to do, but felt as if there were no more options for them, so they went ahead and did it, but really didn't want to. And as we're approaching the date, still looking for a way out, is it possible that we can try something? We can go to counseling, we can get help. I'm still praying, I'm still holding on. Because ultimately, they don't want to do it, though some do. So it's kind of hard to tell, it's hard to ascertain, and this is why we encourage you to sometimes get help, bring a third party in, to help navigate conversations, to see what is truthful, to see what is real, to see what is really what a person wants to do, because when you get down to it, then we have something to work with. But when you're in a space of, I don't know, I'm not sure, I think, but it keeps you in a confused state and it makes it even more painful. Does that make sense? So I hope I answered that question. There's another question by Nicole. I've been reading about narcissism. The more I learn, the more I think about the impact of narcissism in marriage. Can you talk about that? Woo! That is a powerful, powerful topic, narcissism. We've actually done quite a few episodes on narcissism and the impact that it has on a relationship. It's so deep, and here's the deal. The fact is, not as many people are narcissistic as you think. Narcissistic personality disorder is an actual mental diagnosis, and it's determined by an actual test that's taken. And so a lot of times we hear women say, I think my husband's a narcissist, right? Or I think my wife's a narcissist. And the fact of the matter is, when you really look at all the characteristics and attributes of it, many of us have these attributes. There are things that all of us do that may indicate that there are, behaviors and reactions to things that are narcissistic, but it doesn't mean that we're a narcissist. You see the difference? And so you really, 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 really have to study it to truly know if somebody is truly a narcissist. But the impact is it can lead to a whole lot of emotional hurt and pain, a whole lot of distress on a relationship, because for many people who are narcissistic, they don't have the ability to emotionally connect and feel, right? They don't operate in that realm. They operate more in a logical realm where there is less feeling and emotion. So compassion and empathy and knowing how to connect with someone is very difficult. And there are all types of behaviors that can be destructive that can help rip a marriage apart. So yeah, this is something that we can talk about again at length, what the signs are, what to be aware of, how to deal with somebody who is a narcissist, what if you're a narcissist, and how to overcome that. That's something that we can certainly do again. Here's another statement. Good evening from California. Thank you for all that you do. Danielle and Couples Academy are doing for couples worldwide. We love you. I know who you are. Let's talk. Let's make something happen. I think we can make something happen. All right. Is there another? I don't really see any. Here's a question. All right, here we go. How can a couple heal sexually after infidelity when the unfaithful wants it all the time and the betrayed is triggered all over the place by it? Yeah. Yep. So we talk about how, actually we did a 4-hour masterclass on sex after betrayal, and we talked about the fact that, many couples react to sex very differently. There's a couple that I've been working with recently where the affair came out, and the husband was unfaithful, and the wife obviously is the betrayed spouse. And ever since they discovered the affair, their sex life increased. They went from twice a week to 4 times a week, because the wife uses sex to medicate her pain. So because she's hurting and mentally distressed, sex allows her to clear her mind. In those moments, it allows her to no longer feel the pain that she's in. So some would say, wow, more sex? Sign me up, that's great. But the reality is that's how they're experiencing the aftermath of an affair now, because she's using it as a form of medication. And so it's not about intimacy. It's not about giving herself to her husband. It's, I need to get out of this pain, and this is how I use it. And we know that many people use sex for different reasons. So if I'm feeling insecure, I use it because it helps me to feel desired. If I'm using it as a way to keep my spouse from leaving, then now there's a fear of loss that's driving my desire to engage in sex. There are other people who are triggered by it, and so every time they engage with their spouse, the thought of, is this what you did with? Is this what you experienced with? And they're triggered, and it shuts them down, and they cry in the moment, they get angry in the moment, and they can't do it anymore. And so this is why counseling is important. This is why going through a process where you unpack what those triggers are so critically important. And once again, not to be redundant, this is exactly why we are doing the class, How to Overcome Emotional Triggers, because many people are triggered in the bedroom. And so we talk about how to untrigger your spouse. We talk about how to untrigger your environment that you control, and how to untrigger yourself. These triggers are things that you do not want to live with for the rest of your life. You want to get to a place of normalcy. You want to get to a place of health. And so the way that you do it is by, become a student of the thing that you struggle with. Think about this. If I'm a master student of the very thing that I struggle with, at some point I'm going to become a master of the thing that I struggle with, and I no longer have that struggle because I've studied it from the inside out. I don't fear it, I don't reject it, I don't run from it, I don't hold my hands over my eyes and try to avoid it. I fully embrace it head on and learn the intricacies of all of it to know how to overcome and defeat it. So whether it's joining that masterclass, whether it's doing a deep dive study, whether it's engaging in an ongoing conversation with your spouse, it's something that has to be dealt with and soon, so that you can get back to a space where sex is mutually beneficial for both parties involved. That is what you want to do. Another comment, I'm reading these in real time. Welcome back, Mr. Jeff or Lakeisha tonight. They were great hosting. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed them. They are phenomenal. It's just me tonight, so I hope I can, measure up to the wisdom and the expertise that they provide on a daily basis. But thank you. We had a great time on our vacation, and glad to get back into the swing of things. Here's another question, I believe. My husband and I have been trying to work through infidelity issues, and I live in fear of doing more harm than good. I still struggle with comparisons and self-loathing and sadness while trying to be strong, I think it goes on to say, and positive in this recovery. Is there any wisdom that you can share? Yeah. There's a lot of wisdom. So let me recommend a book. Like, people say all I do is promote counseling, and it's a sales pitch, and okay, great. I'm pitching you because I know what's waiting on the other side when you get involved in a process. But if that's not your stilo, if that's not what you want to do, okay, to each its own. What I would highly recommend is that you get a book by Shirley Glass. Write that down, Shirley Glass. The book is entitled it's called Not Just Friends. It is a phenomenal book that talks about the nature of an affair, why they occur, how to avoid it, if it does happen to you, how to recover from it. But it just doesn't just talk about the affair itself, but it walks you through a very comprehensive recovery process with your spouse, and it talks about how to deal with all of these triggers and these emotions. So it's a great resource. I mean, I have a little library over there with an incalculable number of books. That is by far the number one recommendation in terms of a book on recovery from an affair that you could ever read until mine comes out. But yeah, that's what I would highly recommend. And at the end of the day, like, it's about once you read it, experience it. Don't just read it and race through it and say, done, what's next? No, you don't need another resource. If you truly walk through that book and experience it by doing what it tells you to do, it will work. It will work. Now, here I am telling you about someone else's resource. Get it. It's a phenomenal one, and it will guide you through that process. Not a lot of questions tonight. I hope that there are more, and I hope you're getting something from these answers. I don't want to race through it. I want to take time to really unpack it to give you what you need. But in the meantime, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right there. So if you have any new questions, post them, and we'll talk about it on the other side. All right, guys, we're back. You're watching Ask the Experts. You know what it is. Let me be me and you be you. All right. Here's a question that just came in. Will the Foundry and UNEARTHED program be continually offered throughout the year or only for a period of time? That's a very good question, because someone else just asked the same question. When is the next Foundry program starting? Yeah, we will be offering it. Now, the schedule is going to be a little bit different. Jeff and I, who are leading the Foundry program, we're starting a brand new session, if you will, in 2 weeks. The date is going to be February the 23rd. That's just 2 weeks away. So we've already had 2 people who have registered for that. So we have a lot of men. It's going to fill up fast. It's filled up fast the first time. So if this is what you want to do, definitely sign up. Whereas Danielle's, she will start the next one once she's complete with this 12-week cycle. So hers will be April 6th through June 22nd. Once again, women have already signed up for that, and they are in waiting. So if that is something that you want to do, listen, we're about to start unpacking and rolling out some testimonials from those who have been in the program thus far. And it's just, I mean, we're hearing on the inside what it's doing for them and how it's making changes in their personal lives and in their relationships. So listen, sometimes you just got to do it because you'll get a significant amount out of it. All right, here's another question. Should the unfaithful spouse be looking for forgiveness from the betrayed spouse? Why is it so difficult? Well, I mean, I would. I mean, if I was the unfaithful spouse, I'm always going to be looking for forgiveness from the betrayed spouse. Sure. I mean, because ultimately I want it. As the betrayed spouse, it may seem as if maybe the betrayed spouse isn't ready. Well, you know, we do say that forgiveness is a decision, but there's a process that goes along with that decision. And based upon a person's personality, based upon their history, based upon their upbringing, you know, their relationship with forgiveness may not be the relationship that you've had with forgiveness. And so while some can easily forgive, others really struggle with forgiveness. And one thing that we have discovered is that if you were to ask 10 different people about forgiveness, you may get 10 different definitions. You may get 10 different interpretations of it. And I think oftentimes we add our own ingredients, our own perspective, our own ideas, our own belief systems to forgiveness and make it something that it's not. And the thing that we're adding to it makes it impossible for us to actually forgive. So because of this, I can't do it. Or because of that, I struggle with it. And I'm like, well, the thing that you just said that you're struggling with and can't do has nothing to do with forgiveness at all. And I think that many of us do not have a comprehensive understanding of what it is, and that's why it is so difficult. Now, if there are blockages, because, you know, one of the things that we do when we're walking couples through a forgiveness process, we help identify some of the obstacles, some of the pitfalls, some of the roadblocks that get in the way. Once we identify what that is, because we take them through, you know, these checks, you know, we're assessing things, you know, internally about the person who struggles, and then we assess things about the spouse. And then once we kind of unpack this, we're able to quickly see, oh, this is where the block is. Oh, this is where the struggle is. So when we work on those individual things, it clears the way and creates a pathway for couples as they go on the journey or the pathway of true forgiveness. And so sometimes there are some blind spots, some things that we are not aware of that become crystal clear in this process that then they say, wow, I guess I can forgive, and I'm willing to embrace it. And so forgiveness is one of those things that really people, if you don't have any experience doing, if you had a habit of not forgiving people, then you bring that same habit into your existing relationship, and it becomes difficult. So this is why sometimes working with somebody else is so critically important to help you overcome. All right, here's another question. Thank you. Thank you, Hassani. We're working to save to come to the last chance weekend, and we would really benefit from Foundry and UNEARTHED. We are working for it. Listen, I appreciate you saying that. Anything that we can do to assist you, please let us know. There is a payment plan that we have for the last chance weekend and private marriage intensives. I know that, you know, there's a cost associated with it, but I promise you, you're going to get more than what has even been articulated, what has even been promised, because we believe in doing that, giving you more. We believe in underselling, but over-delivering more than you could ever imagine. So we appreciate you guys. Listen, whatever you do, it's about doing something, right? It's about doing something. So many people remain stuck and do nothing. And if you do nothing, you are guaranteed to get a result out of that. If you do something, there are no guarantees, but you will be guaranteed that your situation won't remain the same because you're doing something. And even if you're inching your way forward, guess what? You're moving forward. I think it was John Maxwell who wrote a book called Failing Forward, meaning I have a goal for what I want to accomplish, and great, I didn't accomplish it. I didn't get as far as I wanted to go, so I failed in my effort to get exactly what I wanted, but I am a little further on in the journey. So I'm failing forward, which means I'm going to pick up and keep on going and fail again, but I'm moving forward. I rather fail forward than fail backwards. Because if I'm going backwards, I'm going in the opposite direction of where I want to be, and things are getting progressively worse. And oftentimes when we do absolutely nothing, it causes things to get progressively worse. All right, so knowing who we are, would you suggest Last Chance Weekend Intensive? What path should we take? Yes, I know who you are, and I absolutely would. Let me just say this. Let's just say you have gone through counseling in the past, right? And it's worked for that period of time, but it was quite some time ago. And then some things started to creep up, right? Some old habits, some old behaviors, or maybe some struggles that you weren't experiencing after you came out of counseling, and now you're kind of on shaky ground. Does it make sense to jump back in? Absolutely, because you have to understand that growth is a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong process. And so the four most dangerous words to ever use that I heard somebody say, the four most dangerous words to use, I already know that. Well, so what? If you already know that, what are you doing with what you know? And sometimes it's good to take another stab at it, to go back into it, right? To be reminded of what you should be doing. And at the end of the day, a lot of times it's not about learning something new, it's about accountability. It's somebody who's holding you accountable. We call it peer pressure, guys. Peer pressure isn't always bad. It can be good. If you have the right peers pressuring you to do the right thing, it can actually advance and enhance your life and relationship. As I just mentioned earlier, some of you haven't heard me say this, Danielle and I just made a decision again to find a coach in a particular area of our lives, because we realized that on our own, we were going to get minimal results. We kept taking steps forward, but kept taking steps back, and realized that, okay, yeah, we watch videos, we read books, but for us, we needed something more. We needed somebody to hold us accountable. So we just made a significant investment in us, in our marriage, by working with someone to take us to another level. And we are excited about it. And you're going to see the transformation as a result of what we've made the decision to do. So we could say, well, we did that a couple years ago. Do we need to do that again? Yes. Because if you want to get to the next pitch in your marriage, the next pitch in your life, then seeking coaches, working through programs, constantly reading and learning should be a part of your lifestyle. Not something that you once did, not something that you once learned, but as an ongoing, continuous thing, because you never reach your fullest potential until you are dead. I don't ever want to reach my fullest potential, because that means my life is over. So as long as I'm breathing and living life, that means that I can go to the next level. There's more in me that yet has to come, that has yet come out. And I'm excited about that journey. So I'm excited about the new pitch that we are going to experience as a couple. For us to tell you, get counseling, get coaching, work with somebody, let somebody guide you through a process, and we don't do it, come on now. So we want to be not just talking about what you should do, but we want to live it out, and we want to lead it out. And that's what we're doing, folks. So yes, I would highly recommend doing that if it makes sense for you. So have a conversation with your spouse. We got more room. I'm telling you, it's an experience that you will never forget. It's an experience that will change the course and the trajectory of your relationship. Well, listen, guys, I hope you got something out of tonight. That is our show. You're watching Ask the Experts. Hope that you tune in tomorrow night for another great episode. But until then, I will see you later. And in the morning, we're continuing our conversation on the pain of the betrayed spouse. Make sure you tune in. Love you all. See you tomorrow.